G'day everybody. I've got a bit of a lesson for you today. The way this lesson's come about, it was in 2016. I was sent over to Cape Town with the company that I was working with at the time, it was a direct sales company. And we went over to Cape Town to do a little bit of training for the call center that was situated within Cape Town in South Africa. So this call center covered the entire world. We got sent over there for a few reasons. One of them was to have a good time. The other one was basically to, do a bit of training. So I wrote a little lesson or impact for the call center there on, from my perspective, what makes a successful seller. And I just happened to stumble across this as I was packing my house up because we're about to move. So I thought this might be, I read through it and I thought that this could ring true for a lot of people and it might have some lessons in there that might help you out. So I figured I'd make a little vlog on it. Now, I'll go through it and I'll basically explain each point because I'm reading it a few years down the track, obviously, today after a lot more work, a lot more experience, but everything that I wrote down still applies. So the first point I've got is to apply your training while still experienced. Now, what I was trying to point out there was that when you take a new job and you learn the fundamentals of the job, it doesn't matter how much experience you gain, those fundamentals are going to remain the same. So a successful seller will use the exact same fundamentals as a new seller. They'll apply the same training that they learned when they were a newbie. So they can get as flashy as they like, but in my experience, the most successful sellers stick to the basics and stick to the fundamentals of what makes them good. They do occasionally get flashy, but the really good ones are the ones who are genuine, still doing everything the way they learned it, and they've just built up off a really strong foundation. So it's really important to apply your initial training even when you are an experienced seller. So that's the fundamentals of what you do. The second point I've got down here is know your product, go the extra mile. So product knowledge is so underrated in all jobs. To know, especially anything that's customer facing. Whenever you're in a customer facing role, the more product knowledge you have, the more power you have. Now, I'm not just talking about your own product, I'm also talking about your competitors' products. So you want to have read every single training manual, asked everybody who's more experienced than you in the company what they know, gather as much information on your brand and your products as possible. And then, take it a step further, go out and learn your competitors. Because that, when you can contrast against competitors in a positive light, it shows your integrity as somebody who's delivering a product or service. So product knowledge, massive underrated thing that everybody should have a massive grasp of. Now, point 3 I've got is learning salesmanship techniques. Now, if this content seems useful for you, please chuck a like on it. Massively appreciate it. Subscribe to our channel if you like. That'd be great. We deliver content like this very regularly. The other plug I'll put here. So for learning salesmanship, we have written a course on the foundations of genuine and empathetic communication and with a sales mindset. So if you have a look in the description below, you'll be able to see a link. You can sign up. You can be one of our first access customers. We're doing a really cheap offer for the first 20 people who sign up to it. It will be released very shortly. So put your name down in the email list and you'll find out when it first becomes available. So learning salesmanship techniques, there's so much in sales. And from my perspective, more people are salespeople than they realize. Sales is in every communication interaction. Some people have negative connotations with the term sales or salesman or salesperson, and they see it as kind of a sleazy, kind of manipulative thing, but it's really a positive thing. So being able to get your point across in an eloquent way and knowing how to get your point across in the most effective way is effectively what sales is. So it can be part of negotiating breakfast with your partner, what you're going to have. There's an element of sales in that. There's sales in every communication. Whenever you go and buy a new or used car, if you've got an understanding of sales, it's going to be more effective. You're going to get a better deal. So sales applies to absolutely everything. Personal trainers, they've got to sell themselves to get new clients. The list goes on. So understanding sales techniques, really important. The next point, extending your communication ability. So communication is a little bit different to sales. Sales is the knowledge of how to use communication. Communication is basically your ability to translate your thoughts, ideas, and concepts in your brain into spoken word and body language, things that, and feeling and emotion, things that communicate intrinsic messages that you're thinking to other people. That is what communication basically is. So extending your ability in that area is obviously going to be advantageous. Watching other sellers is my next point. So this applies to any job. If you're working as a laborer, you watch other laborers. Watch the people who are better than you. People who you can see do a really good job. You want to learn from them. So they could be from another company. I did that very commonly when I was in direct sales. I'd watch fundraisers, I'd watch other sellers, I'd try and watch what they were doing, copy the things that they did really well and ignore the things they were doing rubbish. So that was how I built my part of my foundation, was learning from others, which is really important. Always, no matter what you're doing, look for the people who are best at what they do in your industry or your area and copy them, and then try and do it better. Like, that's a really good way to get good at something. The next point is share information and help others. Now, why I wrote this down, in my experience, the highest form of learning is actually teaching. So when you can teach a lesson or concept to somebody, it makes you understand that lesson or concept even better. Because for you to translate it to somebody else, you've got to really have a deep dive in your mind on the concept to convey in the most basic function how that thing works to somebody else. So you will learn from teaching to others. It also creates a good morale in your workplace, which is really fantastic. The sharing of information, obviously vital and really important for a good workplace culture. So the next point I've got, really good one. So set minimum standards for yourself and keep yourself accountable. It's really easy to become lazy. The reason this came about, I used to and still work in commission-based roles. So I was directly rewarded for my effort and for my standards. My bank balance reflected how hard and how thorough I worked. So this for me is really important. It also spreads that thoroughness and effectiveness to other people. If you become a leader, people will follow. So setting minimum standards for yourself and keeping yourself accountable is really important for your own growth and for the growth of everybody around you. So yeah, this impact, like I say, I wrote it for a call center in Cape Town, but for me, there's a lot of points in here that still ring true today and will continue to ring true. Again, if you've taken something from this content, please give it a like, share it with a friend. And yeah, I hope you guys have taken something, and you can, what I've tried to explain to you is what makes a successful seller. But I think really what it is what makes any successful person, successful business person, successful worker. I think it applies to absolutely anybody. So yeah, have a really good day, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.